Hey, Carl Gasso here. Welcome to video 4 or 3.5-ish. What a video we had last time. Video 3, I said it was going to be a benchmark video, and it certainly was in so many ways. We had some issues. For one thing, famous last words, I said I didn't want these videos to run more than 15, 20 minutes, and it ended up being over 50, and it would have ended up probably being an hour if the biggest technical flaw that happened was that we ran out of batteries. Now, even though we also had some audio issues, I was a little overmodulated, so I took down the audio a bit. At one point, the audio completely went out on me. I'm pretty sure I've mitigated all those issues, though, so we should be okay. And then the biggest technical flaw, obviously, like I said, was the battery ran out. Now, the technological gods might have not been on our side, but the narrative gods were, because the video literally went out at the end of a sentence. Like, if you were watching that, it's very possible that maybe it didn't even occur to you that the batteries went out. It might have just ended abruptly. It might have been odd because that's not how I've been ending these videos, but it's like sentence end, boom, out. And so it worked out. During that video, I was also, I was thinking about how I was going to do this from now on with these hobby boxes because, like I said, I didn't want these running for too long of a time. And the one idea I had was maybe I'll open some first, but as soon as the battery ran out, I had a eureka moment, and I completely realized what I should be doing. I'm going to make hobby boxes a two-parter. Hobby boxes a two-parter. And so I'll do half the box for one video. I'll do the other half for the second. And I'm thinking I should easily be able to make them at least approximately between 20 and 25 minutes. So there you go. Problem solved. More content, more videos, more gooder. Now, as far as what we've opened up so far, these are the three that stood out to me the most. It's specifically, as it says it's supposed to have these Mickey Mantle cards. And I was surprised to find the first one. And then I was surprised to find the second one. And the first one I wasn't so sure about. I was like, I don't know if I should be celebrating or not. But by the time I found the second one, I was like, all right, this isn't quite so rare. And for my research, I found that it really depends on who you ask when it comes to how valuable those cards are. Because, for some, it's worth maybe the tens of dollars. For others, some, they think it's a little more. I also found the same thing for this Ken Griffey Jr. card. Again, some people think it's worth double digits. Other people think it's worth triple. Like I said, this is not exactly why I'm collecting per se, but it's just good to know what I have. And I think for me, it's just so typical of the 90s, right? Because again, 90s was just so oversaturated with collectibles that it became self-destructive. And that's just that's the 90s for you. Even cards that are maybe in another time would have been considered super valuable, they just made so many, and it ruined its own poisoned its own well, so to speak. So we're going to get right back into this. We have 8 packs, 2, 4, 6, 8 packs left. So it's ironic. This video is probably going to end up being a little short, but that's okay. Like I said, the entire point of this is to be the learning process, both in how I decide to go ahead with YouTube, and also with this brand new fledgling hobby, which is trading cards. So hey, if you've watched these videos before, I appreciate it. I thank you for coming back. Feel free to like, feel free to comment, feel free to subscribe. Please, tell me, give me suggestions. Let me know what I should be looking for, what else I should be doing, what I might be interested in. Other than that, let's just get right back into this. So, like I said, these are the 1996 Series 2 Topps MLB cards. I chose 1996 to start as my first foray into vintage cards because 1996 was a big year for me. I was 10 years old. A lot of defining stuff, for me as a kid, for me as a young adolescent, for me as, who would be growing into an adult. Three of my favorite music albums, you had Tool's Anima, Marilyn Manson's Antichrist Superstar, and Typo Negative's October Rust. You had there's that satisfying card sound of them stuck together. We're being careful, of course. You had a lot of movies. We had The Hype for The Crow 2. That was big for me. You had, Titanic. Great film, obviously. Not personally defining for me, but for some people it was big. And yeah, a lot of things going on in the world. That was an American election time, which would then eventually be the road to a scandal for us. And then you had things like the Atlanta Olympics, which then also had its own controversy. It had a terrible bombing. So lots of things going on that, it was kind of the start of what would, lead into it being the late 90s into the early 2000s. It was me growing into a young adult. Ooh, very nice. Jimmy Key. So, like I always say, I am primarily a Mets fan, but, I just, I like teams. Baseball is like, I can watch any team. I don't care. I like the San Francisco Giants. Again, I live through history, right? Like, that's my passion. And, I can't help but not appreciate the San Francisco Giants, right? And the LA Dodgers, right? Because they leave New York. There's only one team, the Yankees, and who fits and who comes up to fill that void in fandom. You have the Mets, and they have the white and the blue of the Dodgers, the black and the orange of the Giants. And they had a rough loss tonight. They came back against the Nationals, but overall they're doing well. I should really do this on camera because this is a video. For the past few weeks, I've been shopping around and getting these hobby boxes. I've been sticking, the first two videos were blaster boxes. I figured that was a good start, a good foray into everything. But ultimately, as long as they're not too expensive, I feel like the hobby boxes are where it's at. Like, it's just they have such a great, there's just so many of them, right? And you're guaranteed to find something like those Mickey Mantle cards in them. Usually, of course, I understand some are lemons, but these 90s Series 2s are I think they're treating me pretty well so far. I'm happy with them. Of course, the movie that brings us all together, we talked about in the last video, The Fan with Robert De Niro and Wesley Snipes. It's an odd movie that it's part thriller, part baseball film, and it's about the San Francisco Giants. It takes place in there. So again, if you take anything away from these videos other than the enjoyment of seeing these cards, I highly suggest you check out The Fan. It's such a great movie, and it's not really remembered. But if It's I believe it's the same people who did movies like Enemy of the State. It has that type of feel to it. Ooh, Mo Vaughn. Very nice. I do, like I said before, I am looking into these cards. I'm checking on the value of them. Certain ones I'm also testing out my own kind of radar that I'm getting from these. Like some of them, I can't obviously look up every single one of these cards. There's just so many at this point. But certain one, I do kind of search around. I try different avenues of searching to see if anything stands out. Like I might be search for like 1996 series most valuable cards, that type of thing. Just again, I think it's important to know what I have. I'm not meaning for this to be its self-fulfilling business just yet, but here we go. We have Jamie Brewington. That's interesting. Giants. Draft pick, Brian Buchanan. I know enough that, certain refractor cards, certain parallels, that could all possibly amount to something, but I've also found that a lot of them don't. And I just assume, we have two of the same cards there. I just assume that that obviously has to do with the player. If they didn't end up having a standout career, obviously that's not going to make their card go up in value. I like these action shots. Edgar Martinez. Yes. All right, we're moving right along here. These videos, as far as baseball cards go, I do have a finite stock, meaning I've shopped around, I've purchased the things that I'm interested in for now, and when I run out of content, then so be it, but we'll see where that goes then. This is ultimately not meant to just be about baseball cards. This is going to be this is a bridge for my other collections, the ones that I'm a little more, or I would say a lot more knowledgeable in. Once I feel like comfortable, once I feel I'm ready to get into it. Like I've been so wanting to open these up. Like I don't want to do any other videos on anything else just yet because I want to see what I got. So I'm just content to do these for a while, but I am probably at some point, I would say in the next 2 to 3 videos, I'm going to do something, try to do something a little different. I'm thinking about, I also, the theme of these collections is retro and vintage. The first 2 videos were the retro throwback cards for the 2021-2022 Heritage series. So that covered a couple of retro picks, and these, of course, being from the 90s, are the vintage. So my other collection in those terms is actually action figures from the 90s, and I do have a whole thing I'd like to get into for that. I have some comics. I'm not a huge trade paperback comic collector. I like the kind of like mid-level omnibuses where it's not like the giant Bible textbook either. I like the ones that will collect like a run or a series of like, what is it, 4 or 5 or 8 or 9 comics, and then they put them into another bound book. But I have those books from the 90s, and I think those are my favorite to read, because it's not as, it's the difference between reading, like, again, a giant, like a law book versus the newspaper versus just a nice paperback, large paperback magazine. So, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to start talking about other media. I'm going to talk about some movies. I have some ideas about that, and also ultimately my my history book collection, because like I said, this is all the biggest theme about all these is it's history, and that's what my passion is. That's what my love is. This is how I kind of experience and appreciate things. Back when I was a kid, I wasn't the biggest sports fan, and it ultimately was because it was the fact that the two most important things about sports, which is athleticism and statistics, were the two things I was worst at. I was not the most athletic kid, and I was terrible at math. So throw numbers at me, I immediately lost interest, because it just reminded me of the anxiety of school and things I was not good. And we're coming into our last two. As I grew up and I started understanding what did pique my interest and what I did appreciate, that's when I truly started appreciating sports in my way. And like like everything else, everyone has their way of appreciating things. And instead of like shunning or dismissing or turning things out, to me everything is like, how it's like a challenge. Like, all right, how am I going to appreciate this? Like, this is something that shouldn't be dismissed. Like, people love sports, and this was years ago. Like, this isn't some new epiphany I had, but I never understood how people, they almost kind of like narcissistically become like downright, snobbish over things that they don't understand why they appreciate. For me, it's okay. I don't really get this just yet, but there's something here. And now, it's become a part of my life, like it's a part of everybody else's lives. As far as sports go, my favorite would be hockey, but like I just mainly follow the New York Rangers, right? But with baseball, it's much more varied. Like I said before, I can watch any game. It's just something that I enjoy having on. And this is kind of what ultimately made me make the choice to specifically stick, at least for now, with baseball cards, because it's like, I'm not, obviously, if I went to hockey cards, I'm not obviously going to get just Ranger cards. And like, obviously I appreciate all players for their skills. I was really rooting for Ovechkin to take Gretzky's record, and I was super happy that happened. I was following that, especially, I was following that more than the Rangers, because they just clearly didn't have it this season. But yeah, and then if you're wondering, yeah, I appreciate football. It's not the sport that I would say is like my favorite. But my father and my best friends are all Giants fans, and so yeah, started going to Giants games. Why not? The only sport I have not seen in person is basketball. I would like to. I don't know if I'll ever get into it. I think that was the sport that like I was terrible at the most in school. I remember as a kid, my father had me play on a team, like an extracurricular type team, and I think maybe that's what did it, because I didn't have good memories. I was not. I was just definitely not. I didn't have the skills to be able to dribble. I couldn't shoot. I was just terrible at it. I think that's ultimately why it did not grow on me. But it's just something else to get into, just something else to experience. Because why not? People love it. Andre Dawson. All right. That is going to do it for this 1996 Series 2 Topps MLB Hobby Box. It's been quite the journey between these last two videos. We're coming on just over 20 minutes now. That's great. I think that if we can just make two videos approximately 20 minutes long each for one hobby box, I think that's actually perfect. And I don't know if I would have thought of it like that if I didn't have my oopsie, right? So thank you so much for watching. I'm going to be probably uploading the next hobby box next week. That's going to be a 1995 Series 2 hobby box. We're going back in time a little. We're going to until then, if you appreciate what I'm doing, if you're liking what I'm doing, please like and subscribe. If you want to give me a little extra thank you, I'm actually an independent author. I have self-published 3 books. It's called the Greater Region series. I have just this month I have published my 3rd. So if you go to Amazon and look up Carl Gasso, The Greater Region. I also have the link up in my YouTube page. Please, by all means, check it out. It's available on paperback and Kindle. That's just if you want to give a little more, you're a little extra interested. So thanks again so much. See you in the next video.